Welcome back, folks. Dow up at 114, Nasdaq up 15, S&P's up 2.5. Let's go to our man, Mr. Teddy Kekstadt, as we do each and every Wednesday at 40 past the hour. You can reach Teddy every trading day, folks, at forex-trading-unlock.com. That's forex-trading-unlock.com. Teddy Kekstadt, what's going on, brother?
Oh, you know what? We got the coronavirus to talk about today, I think, huh?
There is no doubt, man.
A lot's happened since last week when we talked to you, for sure.
Absolutely. And you know how I've been the dollar bear now since the end of October and going into this year, even though it's been strong for the month of January, you know, I've been viewing it as a correction.
Yes.
I think now that this fundamental that this is now in the marketplace, I think we might push the dollar rally some more now. I really do, with the way these numbers are going, because you know, we look for technical setups and there's fundamental setups, like we have the Fed going on right now.
Sure.
You know what? I think that this is really a driving factor because it has such a big ripple effect. And I think that, you know, they keep calming, like the stock market seems to be absorbing it a little bit better again today than just like it did on Monday, you know. But I think that the reality is that when you start looking at these numbers, like on Friday, we had the second case of the virus in Chicago.
Yes.
Now there's 5 nationally, you know. Now, when you're looking at these numbers, now on Friday I was looking at the markets and I'm like, I don't normally sell into lows, and I really don't. And you know how I'm bearish the dollar, and I got long the dollar and short a couple currencies because I was just looking at it. I'm like, well, the swap is in my favor, and if these numbers start to grow, it's going to start to fuel the currency markets, and it's starting to really show that, where there's divergence of certain currency crosses. The yen right now, it's kind of interesting. It's a bull. I think it set a nice short-term low 2 days ago.
Okay.
But the other currencies, honestly, I think that the euro, especially, I think that they may really be in jeopardy of starting to hit some really big lows over the next couple of weeks if these numbers don't stop. You know, because this morning I woke up, they told me that I looked at the news reporting, and it said over 6,000 cases in the Wuhan district.
Heavy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yesterday afternoon, 12 hours earlier, 14 hours earlier, it was at just over 5,000.
Yeah.
You know. And the day before, it was 2,800. So now every day within 12 hours to 24 hours, we're growing at a rate of 1,000 to 2,000 people or more. That's a big deal, you know. So if these outbreaks start to really come into now we know that there's a case in Germany, there's a case in Taiwan, Singapore, all these countries. If you look at them, if they're where we were last week, and now we go into another weekend, if those countries start to have numbers like China is showing now next week, we're going to have a big impact in the currencies. You know, so not to dwell on a news story, but I think that that's really the biggest driver now in the currencies you have to look out for.
Well, there's, you know, Larry, who does the show at 9, he was, you know, he has a place in Hong Kong, and he was showing pictures of the trains with no one in them.
Sure.
No one. And he was talking about that even at midnight there, you can't even get a seat.
Usually you're saying.
Yeah,
right.
so the movement has stopped. And I can picture, you know, I'm glad there's only 2 cases in Chicago, but, I mean, if that went up to 10 or 20, people would start freaking out, right? I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you got to look at it as, you know, first it started with these Asian countries. Now that Germany has it, we have it. You're going to start to see if these numbers do grow. Hopefully they don't. Hopefully things are contained, and, you know, I mean, but if it isn't, if it really does start to become not necessarily an epidemic, but an issue, I can't see how that's not going to impact the markets no matter what. I think the dollar will be bullish. You know, the Swiss franc, I've been a very big bull for a couple months, you know, except for in this current correction.
Yes.
I think that the Swiss, you know, if this really goes this way, you could see the Swiss up back at 98.5, maybe even 99 cents again. And if it really goes on for a couple of weeks and starts to spread, especially you look at the EU, you have Brexit this Friday, and then you have the woes with the Italian government and their debt market starting to spring up. If they start to have any type of medical issue that starts to grow in Germany, let alone in the EU, I think that the euro could be down back to parity, and I think that the Swiss, the dollar Swiss could be at parity as well.
That's a big number.
Yeah.
The euro back at parity. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No, I can see it because it's been teetering on this 110. I mean, it hasn't been able to catch any traction. And, you know, What does happen, of course, is that if you get one fast move, a penny or something, then forget it. You can get 5. I mean,
right. And the euro US dollar has been in a tight range now since the summer, well, for a year and a half, really. But since July, August, it's basically been in a $4.50 range, and we're starting to lay on support in a way that, before the euro US dollar would absorb everything, no matter whether it was a fundamental thing or a technical thing going on in the market. But this is something that's much deeper than that. I don't want to sensationalize it. I don't think it's going to be some major pandemic, but I do believe that it is going to impact things. You had British Airways today that said they're stopping all flights to China. Yeah. So this is not a government mandate. This is the business sector saying
we're
not risking our people or,
right.
So
right. That's pretty intense that British Airways stopping to China, man. That's like,
I mean, on one side you have less customer demand, right? Less people going there, and on the other side of it, you have your employees. Are you going to look to those employees and say you're jumping on a plane and we're sending you over to where this is happening? Yeah. Maybe not. It's both sides of it. It is.
Right. Yeah, dead pilots don't fly very well.
No, and I would not. There's only so much you work for, man.
Oh yeah, and not that.
No, exactly.
Not that. Yeah, there's no doubt.
Right. So, and I think that the yen, it's kind of funny, how we've been a bull with the dollar yen.
Yeah.
I think that that's still going to stay in focus. I think that trend will maintain itself. And I think that the yen also, if this does continue to grow in China, and especially if it starts to spread to Vietnam and Singapore, like it seems like there are cases, I think you'll see a little flight to quality in the yen, because at least in Asia, I mean, you got to think about it. Where's big money going to go as far as currencies right now? You'd want to buy the Swiss, but if Europe's going to start to look bad, they're going to feel it too. So the dollar is going to be your flight to quality, and in Asia, your flight to quality is definitely going to be the yen.
Yes. Yes.
So,
man, there's a lot of moving pieces, particularly. Right. What's so intriguing too, of course, is that between the conversation like 2 weeks ago and now, this thing comes out of nowhere. Yeah. You know what I mean? You got markets at highs. All of a sudden, it's like, okay, it's not an earnings deal. It ends up being basically a medical deal.
And not to spread more fear, but you got to think about everything in terms of you're saying it was like 2 days ago at 2,500. Right? Yeah. Now it's at 6,000, so that's 3,500. If you ever look at it percentage-wise, where it's literally gone from 50% almost increase from 2,800 to 4,500 to 6,000. If you start going 50% every day. Compounding that level is just, I don't even want to say where you get to 100 or 200,000 cases in no time.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw it yet. I sent that article this morning about the boy. Here it is right here. So this 10-year-old boy, right? The case of a 10-year-old boy who is diagnosed with the coronavirus, even though he showed no symptoms, is raising concern that people may be spreading the virus undetected by frontline screening methods. So
and the family had him tested just because they said no, get him tested.
Yes,
doesn't matter that he has 0 symptoms. And guess what? He came back positive, and they said you're going to have these mild cases that people aren't even being reported because they're not even sick, but meanwhile they're spreading it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty intense.
And let me ask you guys a question. Don't you think that because we're at the height of earnings season, especially this week, that's one of the things that's helping to prop up the market right now?
And window dressing. I mean, because they're real numbers. Apple blow out numbers, you know what I mean? And it is what it is, but that doesn't mean that you're not just going to test the highs and then see you don't want to be it,
S&P is going back up as we speak, too.
You got to love it.
Totally.
Teddy, you have a great one, safe one.
Thanks,
Look forward to speaking to you next Wednesday. Stay right there, folks. Tommy and I come right back.